I signed the adoption papers for my wife's affair baby on our daughter's 8th birthday, the same day I learned neither child was actually mine. That's not where this starts, but that's where it ends. The question I couldn't answer then, the question that kept me awake for 73 nights straight, was this. How did I become a father to 2 children who shared my name, but not my blood? And why did my wife fight so hard to make me adopt a 3rd? Let me take you back to the beginning, to the birthday party, to the moment everything looked perfect right before it shattered. Emily turned 8 on a Saturday in November. We threw the party in our backyard, 12 kids, 7 parents, balloons tied to the fence posts in purple and silver. Sarah had baked the cake herself, 3 layers, vanilla buttercream. I'd spent the morning hanging streamers, while Tyler, our 5-year-old, handed me pieces of tape that stuck to his fingers more than the wall. "Higher, Daddy," he kept saying. "Make them touch the sky." The house smelled like sugar and fresh-cut grass. Neighbors waved from their driveways. Everything was exactly the way it was supposed to be. The mail came at 2:15, right as we were lighting the candles. I grabbed it on my way back from the garage. Standard stack, mostly junk. But there was a card for Emily, cream-colored envelope with careful handwriting, my mother's handwriting. I set it on the kitchen counter with the others. Sarah saw it when she came in for more plates. She picked it up, looked at the postmark. Her face did something I'd never seen before. A flicker like static on an old TV. Then it was gone. "Your mom's early this year," she said. I didn't think about it then. I should have. The postmark was dated October 4th, 6 weeks before Emily's actual birthday. My mother never sent cards early. She was the type who apologized for being 2 days late. In the living room, our wedding photo sat on the mantel where it always did. The frame was heavy, brass, with a glass front. We were smiling in that photo, both of us, 2014, 10 years ago. Sarah in white, me in a suit I'd only worn once since. Every time I walked past it that day, I felt the weight of that frame without touching it. Glass, cold, our smiles frozen. The cake had 8 candles. Emily closed her eyes and made a wish. Everyone sang. Tyler clapped off rhythm and spilled his juice on the tablecloth. Normal, perfect, real. Then Sarah handed me an envelope with a clinic logo at a children's party. She waited until the last guest left, until Emily and Tyler were upstairs, their sugar high starting to crash, until it was just the 2 of us in the kitchen, surrounded by crumpled wrapping paper and paper plates smeared with frosting. "I need to show you something," she said. The envelope was glossy, the kind medical offices use for test results. Her name printed on the front. I could see the edge of a photo inside, thermal paper curling at the corners. "I'm pregnant," she said. I should have felt something. Joy, maybe. Surprise. We hadn't been trying. We'd talked about having a 3rd years ago, but life got busy and the conversation faded. But I didn't feel joy. I felt a pocket of cold air settle in my chest. That's good news," I said. "Right?" She pulled the photo out, an ultrasound, black and white, the usual bean-shaped blur. There was a date stamp in the corner, red ink, October 19th, 2 weeks after she'd gotten back from her girls' trip to Nashville. "When did you find out?" I asked. "Last week. I wanted to wait until after Emily's birthday to tell you." She was smiling, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'd been married to her for 10 years. I knew the difference between her real smile and her performance smile. This was performance. "There's something else," she said. She pulled out more papers. 27 pages stapled in the corner. I saw the header before I saw anything else. Voluntary adoption petition. "What is this?" "I need you to adopt the baby," she said. The words didn't make sense. You don't adopt your own biological child. That's not how it works. "Sarah, what are you talking about? Just read it, please. It's complicated, but it's the right thing to do." I flipped through the pages. legal language, dense and suffocating. My name was already filled in on 16 different lines. Marcus Anthony Miller. There was a signature line on page 7 highlighted in yellow. "This is already filled out," I said. "I had the lawyer prepare it, so you wouldn't have to worry about the paperwork." "I don't understand. Why would I need to adopt our baby?" She looked at the floor, at the ceiling, anywhere but at me. "Because it's not technically from both of us." The cold air in my chest spread to my arms, my legs. I couldn't feel my hands. "Explain that." "The trip to Nashville, I made a mistake." "A mistake?" That's what she called it. A mistake. "You're telling me you cheated?" "It was one time, one night. I was drunk and he was there and Marcus, please. It doesn't change anything between us. It was just one night." Just one night. Except it changed everything. It changed the baby. It changed our marriage. It changed the way I saw every smile, every laugh, every "I love you" she'd said since October. "Why would I adopt someone else's child?" I asked. "Because you love me, because we're a family, because Emily and Tyler need a sibling, and this baby needs a father, and you're a good man, Marcus. You're the best man I know." She was crying now. Real tears, not performance tears. But I couldn't tell if she was crying because she felt guilty or because she was scared I'd say no. "I need time," I said. "We don't have time. I'm 9 weeks. We need to get this filed before the baby's born, before he finds out." "He? The father? He doesn't want to be involved. He signed papers saying he gives up all rights. It's just you and me, like it's always been. Like it's always been. Except it wasn't always like this. There was a before and now there was an after, and I was standing in the after without knowing how I'd crossed over." I looked at the adoption papers again. Page 7, the signature line. The ink looked different, slightly darker than the printed text. She'd already practiced forging my signature. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to Sarah, listening to her breathe, and I thought about the ultrasound photo. October 19th. She'd left for Nashville on October 3rd. Came back October 6th. 3 days. 3 days in Nashville with her college friends, Jessica, Rachel, Amanda. Girls' trip, she called it. Wine tastings and live music and much needed time away. I got up at 4 in the morning, went downstairs, opened my laptop. Our credit card statement was easy to find. I had the login saved. I scrolled back to October. The charges were all there, time-stamped and geocoded. Hotel, restaurants, Lyft rides, and a few I didn't expect. Dinner for 2 at a steakhouse on October 4th. Wine, 2 bottles, $87. Couples massage at a spa on October 5th. 2 guests, $240. Room service on October 6th. Breakfast for 2, $54. I clicked into the hotel charge, looked at the details. The reservation was under Sarah's name, but there was a note, King Suite Upgrade, 2 guests, 2 guests. I pulled up her call log on our shared phone plan. 17 calls to a number I didn't recognize, all between October 3rd and October 6th. The longest call was 43 minutes on the night of October 4th, the same night as the dinner for 2. If you've ever found something you wish you could unsee, just leave "I understand" in the comments. You're not alone. I took screenshots of everything, saved them to a folder I labeled Taxes 2024 because Sarah never looked at tax documents. Then I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen for an hour, staring at our wedding photo on the mantle. In the photo, we looked happy. We looked like people who told each other the truth. The barista at the hotel's coffee shop answered on the 3rd ring. I'd found the cafe's number online, called from a burner app. Told her I was trying to confirm some details about my wife's stay in early October. Anniversary surprise. I lied. "Oh, sure," she said. "The blonde lady? She was here every morning, always ordered 2 cappuccinos." "Did she come alone?" The barista paused. "No, she was with a guy. Tall, dark hair. They seemed pretty cozy." The hotel receipt was in my hand when Sarah came downstairs at 7, thin paper thermal print. The words, couples massage. 2 guests were circled in my pen. Morning, she said like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just asked me to adopt her affair baby 12 hours ago. I need the truth, I said. I slid the receipt across the counter. She looked at it. Her face went pale. Marcus, the girls' trip hotel only had 1 guest registered, Sarah Miller +1. She didn't deny it. That was the worst part. She didn't even try to lie. I was going to tell you, she said. When? After I signed the adoption papers? I panicked. I didn't know what to do. You could have told me the truth. I was scared. I thought you'd leave. I might. Emily appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, why are you yelling? I wasn't yelling. My voice hadn't risen above a whisper. But Emily was 8. She could feel the tension like static in the air. I'm not yelling, sweetheart, I said. Go get dressed. I'll make you breakfast. She looked at Sarah, at me. Then she left. Sarah waited until Emily's footsteps faded upstairs. Please, she whispered, please don't do this in front of the kids. The kids, our kids, except were they? I'd never questioned it before. Never had a reason to. Emily had Sarah's blonde hair and green eyes. Tyler had her smile, her small nose. Neither of them looked particularly like me, but that wasn't unusual. Genetics were a lottery. I had my mother's dark hair and my father's build. It made sense that they'd favor Sarah. But now, standing in the kitchen with a hotel receipt in my hand, I wondered if I'd been blind or just stupid. I need space, I said. I'm going to stay at the office for a few days. Marcus, please. I'm not leaving. I just need to think. I grabbed my keys, walked out, didn't look back. But I should have. Because in that moment, I was still thinking about one affair, one baby, one lie. I didn't know yet that the lie was bigger, that it was 15 years deep. Emily did her homework at the kitchen table that night. I'd come back around 6, couldn't stay away from the kids, even if I couldn't look at Sarah. I made spaghetti, Tyler's favorite. We ate in near silence. After dinner, Emily pulled out her art folder. She had a project due Monday, a family portrait for Family Appreciation Week. The drawing was already half finished. 4 stick figures holding hands. She'd used crayons, bright and careful. Do you like it, Daddy? She asked. I looked closer. Sarah was on the left, blonde hair and yellow crayon. Emily next to her, same yellow hair. Tyler beside Emily, also blonde, and then me on the end, dark brown hair, standing slightly apart from the others. Everyone had green eyes in the drawing, small circles filled with green crayon. Everyone except me. My eyes were brown. It's beautiful, Em, I said. Mrs. Patterson says we have to write about our families too. What should I say about you? Say whatever feels true. She chewed on her pencil. Can I say you give the best hugs? You can say anything you want. She smiled. Then she looked at the drawing again, tilting her head. Daddy, how come Tyler and me have mommy's eyes, but you don't have anybody's eyes? The question was innocent, just a kid noticing patterns, but it landed in my chest like a fist. Genetics are complicated, sweetheart. Sometimes kids look like their moms, sometimes their dads, sometimes a mix. But I don't look like you at all. You have my laugh, I said, even though I didn't know if that was true. She seemed satisfied with that. She went back to coloring. I went upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom, stood in front of the mirror, looked at my eyes, dark brown, almost black. My mother's eyes, my father's eyes. No one else in my family had green eyes. Not one person. Sarah's sister, Jessica, agreed to meet me for coffee on Sunday afternoon. I told her it was urgent. She picked a Starbucks near her house, 20 minutes from ours, public enough that she couldn't make a scene. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in the corner with a latte. She saw me and waved, smiling. Hey, Marcus, what's this about? I sat down, pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots, the credit card charges, the hotel receipt, the call log. I need you to be honest with me, I said. How long have you known? Her smile faltered. Known what? About the affair, about the pregnancy. She set down her latte, looked at the table. Sarah told me you knew, she said quietly. I didn't, not until yesterday, but you did. She called me from Nashville. She was crying. She said she'd made a mistake and didn't know what to do. And you told her to lie to me. I told her to think about her family, about Emily and Tyler, about you. About me? She cheated on me, Jessica. I know, and I told her it was wrong. But Marcus, people make mistakes. She loves you. She got lost for a minute. I pulled out another screenshot. This one was from Sarah's cloud storage, synced to our shared account. A calendar entry from October 3rd. The note said, cover story, girls trip. Jay will confirm if asked. You were supposed to be her alibi, I said. Jessica's face went white. She asked me to cover for her if you called, just once. She said it was for a surprise party for your anniversary. And you believed her. She stopped, looked at the calendar note again. Wait. Which baby are you talking about? The question hung in the air. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to understand it. What do you mean, which baby? Jessica's hand shook as she picked up her phone. She scrolled through something, texts maybe, then turned the screen toward me. It was a message thread between her and Sarah, dated 3 years ago, October 2021. Jessica, did Marcus ask about the conference? Sarah, no, he doesn't suspect anything. Jessica, good, I still think this is a bad idea. Sarah, I know what I'm doing. 3 years ago, Tyler was born in December 2019, 2 years before that text thread. What conference? I asked. Jessica closed her phone, put it in her lap. I can't do this, she said. You need to talk to Sarah. Jessica, what conference? The one in Chicago, April 2019. Sarah said she had a work thing, asked me to tell you I was going with her if you asked. April 2019, 9 months before Tyler was born. The cold air was back in my chest. It was spreading fast. I drove to the clinic on Monday morning, not the one Sarah used. A different one across town where no one knew my name. The lab technician was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a name tag that said Linda. She asked if I was okay. I wasn't, but I said yes anyway. I need paternity tests, I said. 3 of them. She looked at the intake form I'd filled out, saw the names. Emily, age 8. Tyler, age 5. Patient 3, unborn, approximately 9 weeks gestation. Do you have samples from the children? She asked. I pulled out 2 Ziploc bags, in one a baby tooth. Tiny, root still attached, the tooth Emily lost last month and put under her pillow for the tooth fairy. I'd taken it from the box where Sarah kept their lost teeth, first curls, hospital bracelets. In the other bag, hair, brown strands, slightly curly, static charged from where I'd cut them from Tyler's brush that morning while he ate breakfast. Linda handled the bags like they were made of glass. And for yourself? She swabbed the inside of my cheek. The cotton was rough against my gums. She labeled 3 vials with careful handwriting. My name, Emily's name, Tyler's name. Results in 72 hours, she said. We'll call you. Can you email them instead? Just me, not my wife. Linda looked at me for a long moment. She'd probably seen this before. Men who came in alone with bagged hair and baby teeth. Men who needed to know the truth, but were terrified of finding it. Of course, she said. 3 vials, 3 children, 72 hours. I spent those 3 days pretending everything was normal. I went to work, came home, had dinner with the family, read bedtime stories. Tyler wanted Where the Wild Things Are. Emily wanted Charlotte's Web, the chapter where Wilbur learns what humble means. At night, I'd go to the garage and open the folder labeled Taxes 2024. I'd look at the screenshots, the credit card charges, the hotel receipts, Jessica's text thread from 2021, the calendar with cover story written in Sarah's looped handwriting. I made a timeline on a legal pad. October 2018, Sarah's work trip to Miami, alone, April 2019, Chicago conference. Jessica lied for her, December 2019, Tyler born, October 2024, Nashville girls trip, affair confirmed, November 2024, pregnancy announcement, 2 pregnancies, 2 suspicious trips. How many lies in between? On Wednesday night, Sarah found me in the garage. She'd brought me a beer, set it on the workbench next to the legal pad. "What are you working on?" she asked. I closed the pad. "Just thinking about the adoption, among other things." She picked up the beer, handed it to me. Our fingers touched and I pulled away like she'd burned me. "You haven't touched me in 4 days," she said. "I know. Marcus, I told you the truth. I made a mistake. One mistake. Are you going to punish me forever?" One mistake. She kept saying that. One mistake. Like the number mattered. Like one betrayal was somehow better than 2 or 3 or 15 years worth. "I need more time," I said. She left. I waited until her footsteps faded. Then I opened the legal pad again. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on Thursday. Subject line, test results, patient Marcus Miller. I was in my car in the driveway. I'd woken up at 5:30, couldn't go back to sleep. Sarah was still in bed. The kids were still asleep. It was just me and my phone and the email I'd been dreading for 3 days. I opened it. The first page was Emily's results, a table with numbers and percentages and scientific language I barely understood. But I understood the summary at the bottom. 3 lines, single-spaced, in 11-point Calibri font, alleged father, Marcus Anthony Miller. Tested child, Emily Grace Miller. Probability of paternity, 0%. The paper was standard weight, 32 pound. The text was small and clinical, but the number 0.00% was bold, 14 point. They made sure I couldn't miss it. I scrolled down. Tyler's results. Same table, same scientific language, same summary. Alleged father, Marcus Anthony Miller. Tested child, Tyler James Miller. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. Emily, not mine. Tyler, not mine. And patient 3 was still pending. I sat in that car for 40 minutes. The engine wasn't running. I wasn't crying. I wasn't anything. I was just sitting there staring at the numbers on my phone, trying to make them mean something different than what they meant. 0.0%. That's not probably not. That's not unlikely. That's impossible. That's never. These children share no biological connection to you whatsoever. I'd been a father for 8 years. I'd walked Emily to her first day of kindergarten. I'd taught Tyler how to tie his shoes. I'd stayed up all night when Emily had pneumonia at age 4, holding her while she coughed. I'd coached Tyler's t-ball team last summer, even though I knew nothing about baseball. I became a father on May 3rd, 2016, the day Emily was born. I cut the umbilical cord. I held her before Sarah did. The nurse put a hospital bracelet on her tiny wrist, baby girl Miller, and one on mine that said father. I stopped being a father on November 12, 2024 at 6:47 a.m. The children didn't change, just the truth. I pulled up my photos, found the pictures from Emily's birth, Sarah in the hospital bed, exhausted and beautiful. Emily wrapped in a white blanket with pink stripes. Me holding her for the first time, crying because I'd never felt anything so real. In the photo, Emily's eyes were closed. She was 6 hours old, perfect, and not mine. I scrolled further back. Tyler's birth, December 2019. Sarah had gone into labor 2 weeks early. I was at work, a big presentation, couldn't miss it. She'd called me at 3 p.m. I'd rushed to the hospital, got stuck in traffic on the highway. Arrived at 7:18 p.m. Tyler was born at 7:14 p.m. I'd missed his birth by 4 minutes. The hospital visitor log would show who was there. I'd bet anything Sarah's friend Rachel was there. Rachel, who lived 10 minutes from the hospital. Rachel, who Sarah had called her birth partner when she was pregnant with Tyler. I'd been stuck in traffic while my wife gave birth to a child that wasn't mine. If you need to pause, pause. This next part changes everything. I looked at my phone again. The third test was still pending. The unborn baby. The one Sarah wanted me to adopt. The one she said came from her Nashville affair. Why would she want me to adopt my own child? Unless it wasn't mine. Unless this was another man's baby and she needed my name on the birth certificate to avoid questions, to keep the lie going, to maintain the perfect family illusion for one more generation. Or unless, no, I couldn't think about that. Not yet. But I spent the next hour in my car reconstructing everything, every memory, every moment, every trip, every lie. My mind moved fast, connecting dots I'd ignored for years. 2016, Emily born. Sarah had been to a yoga retreat in Arizona 9 months before. April 2016, 3 days, all inclusive. I'd stayed home with work deadlines. She'd come back glowing, relaxed. Transformative, she'd called it. 2019, Tyler born. The Chicago conference, April 2019. Sarah said it was mandatory for work, some corporate training. Jessica was going too. Except Jessica didn't work at Sarah's company, but I hadn't questioned it. Why would I? We trusted each other. 2021, the text thread Jessica showed me. October. Did Marcus ask about the conference? What conference? I scrolled through my memory. October 2021, Sarah had gone to Seattle for a week. Industry Summit, she'd said. I'd taken time off work to watch the kids. She'd come home with gifts. A coffee mug for me, a stuffed orca for Emily, a Space Needle keychain for Tyler. I missed you so much, she'd said. Pattern, pattern, pattern. Every trip, every conference, every retreat. 9 months, 9 months, 9 months. And I was always stuck. Stuck in traffic for Tyler's birth. Stuck at work for Emily's first steps. Stuck in a meeting when Tyler said his first word. Stuck. Or kept away. The photos on my phone told the story better than words. Birthday parties where Sarah's friend Rachel was in more pictures than I was. Hospital visits where Jessica held the babies while I was parking the car. School events where I arrived late because Sarah had given me the wrong time. I looked closer at the old photos, the ones from Emily's birth. Behind Sarah in the hospital bed, there was a visitor log clipboard hanging on the wall. I zoomed in. Couldn't quite read it. But I could see signatures, more than one. Sarah's best friend Rachel visited her in labor, but I was stuck in traffic for both births. Here's the question I couldn't answer. Do you stay for the kids who aren't biologically yours? Or do you leave because the foundation was a lie? Comment 1 if you stay, comment 2 if you walk away. No judgment. I need to know what you do. Because I didn't know. I sat in that car and I didn't know. The lawyer's office was downtown, 14th floor, glass windows overlooking the city. Her name was Rebecca Chen. Jessica had recommended her, ironic, given Jessica's role in all of this. But Rebecca came with good reviews and a reputation for family law cases that got complicated. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. Mr. Miller, she said, and tell me everything. I told her, the affair, the pregnancy, the adoption papers, the DNA tests, the timeline. I pulled out my folder, the one labeled Taxes 2024, and spread everything across her desk. Credit card statements, hotel receipts, text threads, calendar notes, DNA results, birth certificates. Rebecca looked through it all methodically. She didn't react, didn't gasp, didn't show surprise. She just read, made notes, asked questions. You're listed as the father on both birth certificates, she said, holding up Emily's and Tyler's. Yes. Did you sign the acknowledgement of paternity at the hospital? I think so. It's been 8 years. I don't remember. Even if you did, this DNA evidence is clear. You're not the biological father. So I have no rights? She set down the birth certificates, looked at me carefully. It's more complicated than that. You're the legal father. You've been their father for 8 and 5 years, respectively. You've provided for them, raised them, formed a bond. In the eyes of the law, they're yours. Biology doesn't automatically override that. But it could. It could. If the biological fathers come forward and want custody, and if they can prove paternity, a judge would have to weigh multiple factors. Best interest of the children, primarily. And if I want custody in a divorce, you'd have a strong case. You're the only father they've known. But, Mr. Miller, I need to ask, do you want custody of children who aren't biologically yours? The question hung in the room. Outside the window, traffic moved in silent lines far below. They're mine in every way that matters, I said. Rebecca smiled, just slightly. Then we'll make sure the law sees it that way. She pulled out a legal pad, started writing. First, we file for divorce. Grounds, adultery. Second, we request a custody evaluation. Third, we identify the biological fathers and determine if they pose a custody threat. Fourth, I know who they are, I said. She looked up. You do? I found photos in Sarah's safe. 2 men, one from the Arizona yoga retreat, one from the Chicago conference, photos with dates. I have their names. I pulled out my phone, showed her the pictures I'd found last night after midnight, after Sarah fell asleep, after I'd finally remembered the safe combination because it was Emily's birthday, 050316. The safe had contained more than photos. It had also contained documents, child support waivers, notarized, signed by both men, dated before Emily's and Tyler's births. They knew. The biological fathers knew. They'd signed away their rights before the children were even born. Rebecca read the waivers carefully. This is unusual, she said. Most men don't sign these unless they're being paid or threatened. Or unless they never wanted to be fathers in the first place. Or that. She made more notes. Mr. Miller, Marcus, this is going to get ugly. Your wife will fight this. She'll claim you're being vindictive, that you're punishing her for one mistake. She'll say the children need their mother. And she'll use the fact that you're seeking custody of non-biological children as evidence that you're unstable or vengeful. Let her try. Are you prepared for what this will do to Emily and Tyler? They'll find out eventually that you're not their biological father, that their mother lied, that their whole lives have been built on deception. I thought about Emily's drawing, the 4 stick figures holding hands, everyone with green eyes except me. I thought about Tyler's Superman drawing from school, the one his teacher had shown me at conferences, my hero dad, written in his careful 5-year-old handwriting. They deserve the truth, I said, and they deserve a father who won't leave them just because of a DNA test. Rebecca closed her notepad. Then let's get to work. Tyler's school had an art show on Friday. I'd forgotten about it until his teacher sent a reminder email that morning. Sarah was at work, or said she was. I didn't believe anything anymore. I picked Tyler up early, signed him out at the office. He held my hand in the hallway, his small fingers wrapped around 2 of mine. Are you coming to see my picture, Daddy? That's why I'm here, buddy. It's the best one. Mrs. Patterson said so. The art show was in the gymnasium, kids' artwork taped to the walls in rows, organized by grade. Kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. Tyler pulled me to the kindergarten section. There, he pointed, that one's mine. The drawing was on construction paper 9 by 12 inches. He'd used crayons, the big ones, the kind that don't break easily. The picture showed a stick figure man with a red cape. The cape was the most detailed part of the drawing. Tyler had pressed so hard with the crayon that the wax had gone glossy. He'd outlined it twice, colored it in carefully, added motion lines to show the cape flowing. Above the figure, in careful kindergarten letters, "My hero dad." Below it, in Tyler's handwriting, "My dad is the best. He helps me when I'm scared. He makes me laugh. He is my hero." "Do you like it?" Tyler asked. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up. I knelt down next to him, eye level. "I love it, Tyler. It's perfect." I spent a long time on the cape. I wanted it to be perfect because you're perfect. He hugged me, his small arms around my neck, his face pressed against my shoulder. He smelled like crayons and apple juice and the strawberry shampoo Sarah bought. His teacher walked over, Mrs. Patterson, mid-40s, warm smile. "Tyler talks about you all the time," she whispered. "He tells everyone you're the best dad in the world." I looked at the drawing again, at the cape Tyler had worked so hard to make perfect, at the words he'd written because he believed them, and I thought, he's drawing me as Superman while I'm planning to destroy his mother in court, while I'm holding DNA evidence that says I'm not his father, while I'm deciding whether to stay or leave. But I couldn't leave. Looking at that drawing, I knew I couldn't leave. Tyler was mine. Maybe not by blood, maybe not by biology, but by choice. By 5 years of bedtimes and scraped knees and bad dreams and laughter. By the way, he looked at me like I could fly. That's not nothing. That's everything. I confronted the first biological father on Saturday. His name was David Preston, mid-30s, worked in finance, lived in a condo downtown. I'd found his information through the photos in Sarah's safe, a picture of them together in Arizona, April 2016, his face clearly visible, a reverse image search, a LinkedIn profile, an address. I knocked on his door at 9 a.m. He opened it in running clothes, coffee mug in hand, saw me, and froze. "Marcus Miller," I said. "I think you know why I'm here." He tried to close the door. I put my foot in the gap. "We can do this here, or we can do it in court. Your choice." He stepped back. Let me in. His condo was clean, modern, impersonal. No photos, no signs of children, no life. "Sarah told me you agreed to this," he said. "Agreed to what? Raising your daughter?" "She said you wanted kids and couldn't have them, that you'd agreed she could use, that you were okay with the arrangement." "The arrangement, that's what you call it." He set down his coffee. "Look, I didn't want to be a father. Sarah understood that. She wanted a baby. You wanted a family. It worked out for everyone. Except I didn't know about the arrangement." His face changed. "You didn't? Wait, you're serious? You didn't know?" "I found out 5 days ago." "Jesus." He sat down on his couch, put his head in his hands. "She said you knew. She said it was all agreed upon, that you'd signed papers." "I never signed anything, not until she asked me to adopt the third baby last week. That's when I figured it out." "Third baby?" "Emily, Tyler, and now she's pregnant again. Did you know about Tyler?" "No. I thought it was just Emily. One time, one arrangement. Then we went our separate ways." I pulled out my phone, showed him the DNA results. Emily's 0.00%, Tyler's 0.0%. "Tyler's not yours either," I said. "So who is he?" David stared at the screen. "I don't know. She never mentioned anyone else." I showed him the next photo, the waiver he'd signed, the document giving up all parental rights to Emily before she was even born. "You signed this," I said. "Why?" "She asked me to, said it would make things easier, cleaner. I didn't want to be involved anyway, so I signed." "Did she pay you?" "No, nothing like that. We had an agreement. She wanted a baby. I wanted no complications. We both got what we wanted. Except she lied to me for 8 years. "I'm sorry," he said, and he sounded like he meant it. "I really thought you knew." I left his condo knowing one thing for certain. David Preston wasn't the villain here. He was just another person Sarah had manipulated. The second biological father was harder to find. The Chicago conference, April 2019. The photos in the safe showed Sarah with a man at a hotel bar, but his face was partially turned. No clear LinkedIn match, no obvious trail. Then I remembered the hotel receipt. I pulled it from my folder. Hilton, Chicago, April 14th to 17, 2019. I called the hotel, explained I'd lost some photos from a conference and was trying to find a friend I'd met there. Did they have records of the conference attendees? They didn't. But they gave me the name of the company that had booked the block of rooms, Riverside Medical Solutions. A quick search. Riverside Medical Solutions was a pharmaceutical company. Their VP of sales was named Jason Hernandez. I found his photo on the company website. Same man from Sarah's photo. I called his office, asked for a meeting, said it was about a legal matter involving Sarah Miller. His assistant put me through immediately. "What is this about?" Jason asked. "Tyler, your son." Silence on the phone. Then, "Can you come to my office? We shouldn't discuss this on the phone." Jason Hernandez's office was in a high-rise in the financial district. Glass desk, leather chairs, a photo of him with a woman and 2 teenagers, his family. "Does your wife know?" I asked. "No, and I'd like to keep it that way." "That's not up to me." He sighed, sat down heavily. "Sarah said you'd agreed to the arrangement. She said you were infertile and wanted her to use alternative methods." The same lie, word for word. "I never agreed to anything. I didn't know Tyler wasn't mine until this week." Jason's face went pale. "You're serious?" "Do I look like I'm joking?" He picked up a pen, set it down, picked it up again. "She told me you knew. She said you'd signed documents, that it was all legal and agreed upon." "Show me your copy of the agreement." "I don't have one. She said the lawyer kept all the records." "What lawyer?" "I don't know. She just said everything was handled legally." I pulled out my phone, showed him the waiver he'd signed. His signature at the bottom, notarized, dated May 2019. "You gave up all rights to Tyler before he was born," I said. She said it was standard procedure, that it protected everyone. It protected her, and it left me raising a child I didn't know wasn't mine. Jason stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city. "I never wanted to be involved," he said. "I have a family, 2 kids, a wife. Sarah and I, it was one weekend, a mistake. When she told me she was pregnant, I panicked. She said she had a solution, that her husband wanted kids and couldn't have them, that everyone would be happy. I just wanted to make it go away." Tyler's not a problem to make go away. He's a 5-year-old boy who thinks I'm Superman. Jason turned around. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing. I just wanted to know the truth. And I wanted you to know that she lied to you too. And we were both played." He nodded slowly. "I'm sorry. For what it's worth." "It's not worth much, but thank you." I left his office knowing that Jason Hernandez, like David Preston, wasn't the enemy. They were just men who'd made choices they regretted, who'd trusted Sarah when she said everything was fine. They'd all signed papers waiving parental rights to children I didn't know weren't mine. I was the only one in the dark. I confronted Sarah on Sunday evening. The kids were at my mother's house. I dropped them off that afternoon, told them we were having a grown-up talk that couldn't wait. Emily had hugged me extra long before I left. Tyler had made me promise to come get them before bedtime. I'd set up the recorder that morning, a digital device, smaller than a credit card. I'd placed it on the bookshelf in the living room, hidden behind a photo frame, ironically our wedding photo. The red light blinked every 3 seconds. Battery at 87%. It would record for 16 hours. I only needed 10 minutes. Sarah was in the kitchen when I got home, making tea. She turned when she heard me come in. "Where are the kids?" "At my mom's." "Why?" I pulled out the folder, the black binder I'd assembled over the past week. Exhibits tabbed and labeled, timeline chart inside, DNA results, credit card statements, hotel receipts, text threads, calendar notes, photos of David Preston, photos of Jason Hernandez, child support waivers signed by both men. I set it on the counter between us. "Because we need to talk," I said, "and I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. No more lies." She looked at the binder. Her face went pale. "Marcus, Emily's not mine. Tyler's not mine. I have DNA tests. I have witnesses. I have documentation. I know about David. I know about Jason. I know about the waivers they signed. I know you told them I agreed to the arrangement. That I knew. That I couldn't have kids. I can explain. You told me you loved me. You told me we were building a family. You let me believe for 8 years that I was their father. You let me cut Emily's umbilical cord. You let me miss Tyler's birth. You put my name on their birth certificates. You made me their father in every legal way while making sure I wasn't their father in any biological way." Sarah set down her tea. Her hands were shaking. "I did it for us," she said. "For us? You cheated on me at least twice. You lied for 8 years. You manipulated 2 men into giving up their parental rights. I gave you what you wanted," she shouted. "You wanted kids. You wanted a family. You wanted the perfect life. I gave you that. By lying. By doing what needed to be done. You think I wanted to sleep with David? With Jason? I did it for the family. For the children you couldn't give me." The words landed like a slap. "What are you talking about?" "You're infertile, Marcus. I found out before we got married. Your sperm count is too low. The doctor said natural conception was nearly impossible." "That's not... I never got tested. We never talked about... Because I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want you to feel like less of a man. So I found another way. I gave us the family we both wanted." I stared at her. At this woman I'd been married to for 10 years. This woman I'd trusted with everything. "You're lying," I said. "I'm not. Check your medical records from 2013, the physical you got before our wedding. They ran the test, filed it. I saw the results." "Even if that's true, even if I was infertile, you should have told me. We could have adopted. We could have used a sperm donor. We could have made the choice together." "And what? Live our whole lives knowing our kids weren't really ours? Knowing there was some donor out there with rights? This way was cleaner, better. You got to be their father. Really be their father. No questions asked." "No questions asked? Sarah, I have 1,000 questions, starting with, why did you ask me to adopt the 3rd baby?" She looked away. "Because it's not yours." "The Nashville trip, the affair, you said it was one night, one mistake." "It was." "Then why do you need me to adopt the baby?" Because the father might want rights. He didn't sign a waiver. He doesn't know the arrangement. If you adopt the baby, then legally it's ours. He can't take it from us." "From us. There is no us anymore, Sarah." She started crying, real tears streaming down her face. "Please, Marcus, please. I know I messed up. I know I should have told you the truth, but I love you. I love our family. Don't throw it all away because of this." "Because of this? You mean because of 15 years of systematic lies?" "I did it for you. You did it for yourself. And now you're pregnant with another man's child and you want me to sign papers so you can keep the lie going. So when you leave me, and you will leave me, Sarah, because that's what this is about, when you leave me, you'll have 3 children and I'll have nothing. No rights, no claim. Just memories of a family that was never really mine." She stepped toward me, reached for my hand. I pulled away. "You'll never prove anything," she said. Her voice had changed, harder now, cold. "I already have," I said, "and it's all time-stamped." I pointed to the bookshelf, to the recorder behind the wedding photo, the red light still blinking. Sarah's face went from pale to gray. "You recorded me. Every word, including the part where you admitted to lying about my infertility, the part where you admitted to the arrangement with David and Jason, the part where you said you did it for the family while really doing it for yourself. That's illegal. Actually, in this state, It's legal to record conversations in your own home when you're a party to the conversation. Rebecca checked. Who's Rebecca? My lawyer. Sarah sat down at the kitchen table, put her head in her hands. What do you want? She whispered. I want a divorce. I want custody of Emily and Tyler. I want the truth, on record, in court, in front of a judge, and I want you to stop lying. They're not even your kids. They're mine in every way that matters, and if you try to use biology against me, I'll use those waivers against you. David and Jason both signed away their rights. That makes me the only legal father those kids have. And any judge who sees this evidence, the lies, the manipulation, the systematic deception, is going to side with me. Sarah looked up. Her eyes were red, but there was something else there now, something calculating. Fine, she said. Take them. Take the kids who aren't yours. Raise them. Love them. But know this. Every time you look at them, you'll see me. You'll see my choices, my lies, and you'll never really be their father. Wrong, I said. Every time I look at them, I'll see two kids who deserve better than you, and I'll be the father they need, not because of biology, but because I choose to be. I picked up the binder, walked toward the door. My lawyer will be in touch, I said. Move out by the end of the week. The kids stay with me. The court hearing was set for 3 weeks later, December 3rd, Judge Patricia Morrison presiding, Family Court, Division C. Rebecca had filed everything: divorce petition, custody request, evidence exhibits A through G. Sarah's lawyer, a man named Gerald Krantz, had filed counterclaims: emotional distress, parental alienation, request for full custody based on Marcus's unstable mental state. She's going to argue that you're using the DNA test to punish her, Rebecca said. We were in her office the day before the hearing, going over the strategy one last time. She'll say you're being vindictive, that you're putting your ego above the children's needs. Let her try. She'll also argue that the biological fathers have rights, that David and Jason should be involved in Emily's and Tyler's lives. They signed waivers. Waivers can be challenged, especially if Sarah claims she coerced them or lied to them, which, based on your evidence, she did. So what's our strategy? Rebecca pulled out a document, set it on the desk between us. This, she said. It was a paternity test result, but not for Emily or Tyler. Patient unborn child, approximately 13 weeks gestation. Alleged father, Marcus Anthony Miller. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. I read it 4 times. The numbers didn't change. I don't understand, I said. I requested a court-ordered prenatal paternity test 2 weeks ago. Sarah tried to block it, but the judge approved it given the circumstances. We got the results yesterday. This says I'm the father. Yes. But Sarah said she told me the baby was from the Nashville affair. She said the father might want rights. She said that's why I needed to adopt. And then I understood. The baby she wanted me to adopt was mine. The one child that was biologically mine. She'd lied. Again. She'd tried to make me believe the one child that was actually mine wasn't. So when she left and she was planning to leave, that was clear now. When she left, I wouldn't fight for any of them. Not Emily, not Tyler, not the unborn baby. She would take all 3 children, and I would have no legal standing because I'd have signed adoption papers that waived my biological rights. She tried to con me into giving up my own child, I said. Yes. Why? Rebecca pulled out another document, an email chain, 16 pages, printed and highlighted, between Sarah and someone named Michael Crawford. The emails dated back 6 months. Michael Crawford is a plastic surgeon in Nashville, Rebecca said. Divorced, no kids. Sarah's been seeing him for the past year. These emails discuss their plans to move to Nashville together, with the children, all 3 of them. I read the emails, my hands shaking. Sarah, I'll have everything in place by December. Marcus will sign the papers. Michael, you're sure he'll adopt the baby? Sarah, he will. He's already raising 2 that aren't his. He won't fight. Michael, and the other fathers? Sarah, handled. They have no rights. Marcus will sign over the 3rd and then we're clear. Michael, I can't wait to start our life together. She'd been planning this for months. The adoption papers, the manipulation, the lies, all so she could take 3 children to Nashville, including my biological child, and start a new life with a man I'd never heard of. She wanted me to adopt my own child so I'd have no rights, I said. Correct. Adoption severs biological parental rights. Even if you later discovered the baby was yours, you'd have no standing to challenge it. You'd just be a man who'd adopted his wife's affair baby and then changed his mind. That's insane. It's calculated, and if we can prove it in court, Judge Morrison will see through it. Sarah's entire case falls apart once this DNA test comes in. When does the judge see it? Tomorrow, during the hearing. I'm entering it as Exhibit H. Sarah doesn't know we have it yet. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a bench where Judge Morrison sat, reviewing files. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses perched on her nose. Sarah sat at the plaintiff's table with her lawyer, Gerald. She wore a navy dress, pearls, her hair pulled back. She looked like a victim. She looked like someone who'd been wronged. I sat at the defendant's table with Rebecca. I wore the suit I'd bought for my father's funeral 3 years ago. Black, somber, the suit of a man who'd lost something. The gallery was mostly empty, my mother in the back row. Sarah's sister, Jessica, surprisingly, on my side, a court reporter at her stenography machine. Judge Morrison looked up. We're here for Miller versus Miller, case number FD 2024-8841. Divorce petition with contested custody. Are both parties present? Yes, Your Honor, Rebecca said. Yes, Your Honor, Gerald said. Mr. Krantz, I've reviewed your counterclaims. Emotional distress, parental alienation. You're arguing that Mr. Miller is unfit for custody based on his reaction to discovering his wife's infidelity? Yes, Your Honor. My client made a mistake. One mistake. And Mr. Miller has responded with a scorched earth campaign to destroy her life and take her children from her. Her children? The children she birthed, the children she raised, the children who need their mother. Judge Morrison looked at Rebecca. Ms. Chen? Your Honor, those children also need the truth, and they need a parent who won't lie to them for their entire lives. The evidence will show that Mrs. Miller has engaged in a pattern of systematic deception spanning 15 years. She has lied to her husband, to the biological fathers of her children, and most egregiously, to the children themselves. I've reviewed the DNA evidence, Judge Morrison said. Mr. Miller is not the biological father of the 2 existing children, Emily and Tyler. Is that correct? Correct, Your Honor. And yet you're seeking custody? We are. Mr. Miller is the only father these children have ever known. He has raised them, provided for them, formed a bond with them. Biology doesn't define fatherhood. Choice does. A nice sentiment, Ms. Chen, but the law does consider biology. If the biological fathers come forward, they've waived their rights, Your Honor. We have notarized documents signed by both David Preston and Jason Hernandez, waiving all parental rights prior to the children's births. Mrs. Miller arranged these waivers without Mr. Miller's knowledge as part of her deception. Judge Morrison flipped through the exhibits, found the waivers, read them carefully. Mrs. Miller, did you tell the biological fathers that your husband was infertile? Sarah stood. Yes, Your Honor, but did you tell them he'd agreed to this arrangement? Yes, but did your husband actually agree? Silence. Mrs. Miller? He didn't know the specifics, but he wanted children. I gave him children. By lying to him. by doing what needed to be done. Judge Morrison set down the waiver, looked at Gerald. Mr. Krantz, your client has admitted to fraud, to deception, to manipulating multiple parties for her own benefit. How exactly am I supposed to rule in her favor? Your Honor, my client's methods may have been unconventional, but her intentions were pure. She wanted a family. She created one. Mr. Miller benefited from this for 8 years. He was happy. The children were happy. It was only when he discovered the truth that he decided to weaponize it. Weaponize the truth. That's an interesting phrase. Your Honor, if I may, Rebecca said, there's one more piece of evidence the court needs to see. She pulled out the prenatal DNA test, handed it to the bailiff, who passed it to Judge Morrison. What am I looking at? Judge Morrison asked. A court-ordered paternity test for Mrs. Miller's unborn child, conducted 2 weeks ago. Sarah's face went white. Gerald leaned over, whispered something. Sarah shook her head violently. Judge Morrison read the document. Her expression didn't change, but I saw her eyes flicker to Sarah, then to me. This test shows that Marcus Miller is the biological father of the unborn child, Judge Morrison said. Probability 99.97%. The courtroom was silent. Mrs. Miller, you told your husband the unborn child was the result of an affair in Nashville. You asked him to adopt this child. Why? Sarah didn't answer. Mrs. Miller, I'm asking you a direct question. Gerald stood. Your Honor, my client. Sit down, Mr. Krantz. Mrs. Miller, answer the question. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. I thought it would be easier. Easier for whom? For everyone. If Marcus adopted the baby, then there wouldn't be any questions, any complications. Complications like the fact that the baby is his biological child? I wasn't sure you weren't sure, or you wanted to make him believe it wasn't his, so he wouldn't fight for custody when you left him. Silence. Judge Morrison picked up another exhibit, the email chain with Michael Crawford. Marcus will sign over the third, she read aloud, and then we're clear. Clear to do what, Mrs. Miller? Your Honor. Clear to take all 3 children to Nashville, to start a new life with Mr. Crawford, to cut Mr. Miller out of his biological child's life entirely? Gerald stood again. Your Honor, these emails are taken out of context. They're time-stamped, Mr. Krantz. They're direct, and they show premeditation. Your client planned to have Mr. Miller adopt his own biological child, severing his parental rights, so she could take the baby away from him without legal challenge. Judge Morrison set down the emails, took off her reading glasses, looked at Sarah for a long moment. Mrs. Miller, I've been on this bench for 17 years. I've seen parents fight over children for petty reasons, for money, for revenge. But I have never seen a parent try to manipulate someone into giving up their own biological child. That is unconscionable. She turned to me. Mr. Miller, you're seeking custody of 3 children, 2 who are not biologically yours and 1 who is. Is that correct? I stood. Yes, Your Honor. Why? Because they're mine. Emily's mine because I held her the night she had pneumonia and told her she'd be okay. Tyler's mine because I taught him how to ride a bike and caught him when he fell. And this baby's mine because I'm choosing to be there. Not because of DNA, because of love. Judge Morrison nodded slowly. The law says biology matters, and it does. But the law also says the best interest of the child matters more. And in this case, the best interest is clear. She picked up her gavel. I'm granting Mr. Miller temporary full custody of Emily and Tyler, with Mrs. Miller receiving supervised visitation pending psychological evaluation. I'm also granting Mr. Miller full parental rights to the unborn child. Mrs. Miller, you are prohibited from leaving the state with any of the children pending the final divorce decree. The gavel came down. Sarah collapsed in her chair. Gerald put a hand on her shoulder. She shook him off. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Rebecca touched my arm. You did it, she whispered. The judge said biological father, but Tyler said hero dad. Which one matters more? If this story made you rethink family, share it with someone who needs to hear that family is what you make it. I picked up Emily and Tyler from my mother's house that night. They ran to me when I walked through the door, both of them talking at once. Daddy, Grandma let us make cookies. Daddy, I learned a new song. Daddy, can we sleep at your house tonight? My mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, smiling. They're all yours, she said. I knelt down, hugged them both. Emily smelled like sugar and cinnamon. Tyler's hair was sticky with something, probably frosting. You're staying with me for a while, I said. Is that okay? Where's Mommy? Emily asked. Mommy needs some time to herself, but you'll see her, I promise. Tyler pulled back, looked at me with his green eyes, Sarah's eyes. Are you and Mommy getting divorced? I'd been dreading this question, rehearsing answers in my head for days, but now, looking at his 5-year-old face, all the rehearsed answers felt wrong. Yes, I said, we are. Is it because of us? No, never because of you. It's because grown-ups sometimes make mistakes, and Mommy and I need to fix them apart instead of together. Emily hugged me tighter. But we still have you, right? Always. You'll always have me. Even though we don't have the same eyes. I pulled back, looked at her. At this 8-year-old girl who'd noticed patterns, who'd asked questions, who'd drawn pictures that told truths I'd been too blind to see. Emily, can I tell you something important? Okay. Family isn't about eyes. It's not about hair color or noses or anything like that. Family is about who shows up, who stays, who loves you even when things are hard. And I'm showing up. I'm staying. I love you. That makes us family. Even if the DNA is different? My mother must have told her something, or maybe Emily had overheard conversations. 8-year-olds were smart like that. Even if the DNA is different, I said. Tyler tugged on my sleeve. What's DNA? It's like a recipe for how your body is built. Do I have your recipe? You have your own recipe, buddy. You're one of a kind. But you're still my dad? I'm still your dad. He thought about this, then, good, because you're the best dad, better than all the other dads. Emily nodded. Way better. We moved into a new apartment in January. 2 bedrooms, one for Emily and one for Tyler. I slept on a pull-out couch in the living room. It wasn't big, it wasn't fancy, but it was ours. Emily started 3rd grade in a new school. Tyler stayed in kindergarten but changed classes. Fresh starts, new beginnings. The divorce was finalized in March. Sarah got supervised visitation every other weekend. She moved to Nashville in April. Married Michael Crawford in June. I sent her a card that said, "Congratulations." I meant it. She deserved happiness, even if she'd gone about finding it in the worst way possible. David Preston sent Emily a birthday card in May. He didn't sign it Dad. He signed it David. The card said, "I'm glad you have a good father. He's a better man than I could have been." Jason Hernandez set up a college fund for Tyler, anonymous through a lawyer. Rebecca told me about it. I never acknowledged it. But Tyler would have money for school when he turned 18. That was something. The baby, my biological daughter, was born in June, 6 pounds, 8 ounces, dark hair like mine, my mother's eyes. I named her Grace. Grace Miller. No middle name, no complications. Sarah held her once in the hospital, then handed her to me. "She's yours," Sarah said. "Really yours. I'm sorry I tried to take that from you." It was the most honest thing she'd said in 15 years. Emily drew a new picture in August. We'd been in the apartment for 7 months. Tyler had started 1st grade. Grace was 2 months old, sleeping in a bassinet next to the couch. Emily came into the living room with a piece of construction paper, the same size as her original family drawing, 9 by 12 inches. The same 4 stick figures holding hands. But this time, everyone had different colored eyes. Green, brown, blue, hazel. A rainbow of genetics that didn't match, didn't make sense biologically. And above the drawing, in Emily's careful 3rd grade handwriting, she'd crossed out the old title, My Family, and written something new, My Real Dad. "Do you like it?" she asked. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up the way it did when Tyler showed me his Superman drawing, the way it did when Grace grabbed my finger for the first time. "I love it," I finally said. "I wanted everyone to have different eyes, because you said family isn't about matching. It's about staying." "That's right." "So we're real family, even though we don't match?" "We're the realest family I know." She smiled, hugged me, went back to her room. I looked at the drawing, at the stick figures with their rainbow eyes, at the careful lettering that said, My Real Dad. Not biological, not legal, real. Tyler asked me every morning if the drawing was still there. It was, hung on the refrigerator with a magnet that said, World's Best Dad, a gift from my mother. It's still there now, a year later, 2 years later. It'll be there when Emily graduates high school, when Tyler learns to drive, when Grace says her first word, because we don't leave, not when it's real. Emily wrote real dad on that drawing, not biological, not adoptive, real. Do you have someone who's your real family even though there's no DNA test? Tell me about them. I want to know who your chosen family is. We're not perfect. We're not biological, but we're permanent. Grace cries at 2 a.m. and Emily gets up to help. Tyler shares his Halloween candy without being asked. They fight over the TV remote and whose turn it is to pick the movie. They laugh at jokes I don't understand and make up songs about nothing. They call me Dad, not Marcus, not Father, just Dad. And when people ask, because people always ask, are these all your kids? I say yes, because they are. Emily's mine because I choose her. Tyler's mine because I choose him. Grace is mine because biology and choice finally aligned. But the choosing is what matters. The biology is just paperwork. The drawing hangs on the refrigerator now. Same 4 people holding hands. But Emily added one thing since that day in August. A sun in the corner. Not because I told her to, because she wanted to. Tyler asks every morning if it's still there. It is. It always will be. We're not perfect. We're not biological. But we're permanent. That's the only test that matters. We don't leave. Not when it's real.